David, lead us off with Dierre Hill, listed as an athlete, but I guess we're thinking running back on this guy, huh?
Yeah, it sounds like running back. He does play some defense, and he is potentially considered a wide receiver convert, if he can't add weight. But he's 5'10" and a half, 180 pounds. Rivals has him at 188, so hopefully he's 188. Goes to Althoff High School in Illinois, the 74th ranked team in the state, a 17 team power rating, and unfortunately a -5 strength of schedule. So committed to Oregon. He's got a strong offer list, which is good. Georgia, Ohio State, Michigan, Notre Dame, Minnesota. So some quality teams there. He did go to Penn State, their camp, and they decided not to offer. So it seems like they preferred, like how we talked about Alvin Henderson a couple weeks ago. But really, he does have good production. I mean, as you'd expect against bad competition, over 13 yards per carry. It looks like he scored on every, like, I don't know, fourth or fifth carry. 13 receptions, 208 receiving yards. So a 13% receiving market share is solid. We really would prefer to see him over 20%. So maybe he can hit that mark as a senior. But, a couple of kickoff return TDs, which is nice. 3 interceptions, and he returned 2 of those for a touchdown. So show some, playmaking skills. He's a 55th percentile athlete in the database. Actually a good basketball player. He kind of does a little bit of everything. I won't go through his basketball stats. I'm not that much of a sicko, but also does track. He's around like 11-second 100-meter guy, 22, 62, 200-meter guy. I think solid speed. We don't have any official 40-yard dashes on him. He looks like he's probably like around like a 4.5. Maybe he'll be a little faster than that. But I think he's a good playmaker. I think he's got good feet and explosiveness, agility, and all that. Pretty good vision. I think he moves well laterally. So I think he's got a lot of things in his favor. I would, as a smaller guy, you'd prefer to see some more dynamic pass catching on tape. But he does special teams, so they obviously trust him to go back there and catch passes, and so that's good. I just think it comes down to how much we like him is basically how big he can get. It's kind of what we do every week. It's what we talk about every single week at this point, and I think everyone knows the drill at this point. So it's like, I think he's got a decent frame for like a smaller guy. I think he's 5. We use the shortest height we can find. I think it was 5'10" and a half we found. Like, he's got decently broad shoulders for a guy that short. And given he does track and plays basketball, like, he's probably a little depleted. Like, he's probably got a decent amount of room to fill out, like, once he really hits the weights hard. And he's got good muscle definition. So I think he will be a pretty good responder in the college weight room. So, but at the same time, yeah, I mean, he's still probably going to max out around, like, I don't know, maybe 205. If he is 188, like 17 pounds, I don't want to project more of an, adding more than 17 pounds. It's kind of on the high side. But the other thing is, I just don't really know about his contact balance. It's kind of a mystery to me at this point until I watch a full game, which I will at some point. I haven't gotten there, but pretty much his 9-minute reel is he just isn't touched much. I mean, he's playing bad competition, so it's just like a lot of big holes, and so that's like one question mark I'm probably gonna look more into. So I think just going forward, I think on senior tape, just want to see even more receiving. Just continue to get more productive. Hopefully, he can add some weight in the off season here, and hopefully he can get to like 195 area. And I'd feel a little more comfortable. And I know I'm being long-winded. Last thing I'll say is that Oregon, actually, they seem to be doing all right with these smaller running backs. Like Bucky Irving was 192, and Jordan James is the guy who's basically already maxed out. I think he was like a one-sport guy. He was like 200 pounds coming out of high school. I think he's still around like 200, 205, and he's been effective. They kind of play a lot of spread style where they have like decent running lanes, kind of spread things out, get the guys in space a little bit. So yeah, I mean, if he can become the guy there at some point with a decent amount of, like, I think he can be efficient as a runner at Oregon. Really comes down to how much they use in the passing game and how much volume he gets. But I'm not going to say like I love him at this point. I'm interested, and I just want to see kind of like if he takes the next step, as a senior.
Yeah, efficiency is the name of the game at Oregon. It has been for quite some time, even through multiple coaches. Like way back in the day, remember like D'Anthony Thomas? It was just like unbelievable, and he was like 180 pounds. Matt, anything to add on this dude, Dierre Hill?
No, not really. I like him, don't love him. We'll see how much weight he can add and where he lands. So,
Yeah, I thought it was interesting that David brought up he's been to Penn State and they didn't offer him. I thought he was a little bit maybe like a tick slower Alvin Henderson. I mean, the tape kind of reminded me of each other, very straight line, kind of one cut and go with not a lot of agility on tape, at least. Kind of just reminded me a little bit of the same tape, except his top speed is not quite the same as, Henderson has an elite kind of breakaway. But yeah, Jordan James, interesting you bring him up. Like, he's a guy who I thought we all were like, oh, he's 200. He's going to be like 220, and we're, I think, entering his third year now, and he really hasn't budged. So maybe he is one of those guys who's maxed out in high school. So important little side note there to keep in mind. Not everybody puts on 15 to 17 pounds. But yeah, I'm not thrilled with Dierre Hill. He even has less evidence of receiving than the other guy we talked about, James Simon. And I just think these smaller dudes, like, they gotta contribute in the running or in the passing game, unless they happen to go to Sam Houston State at some point and get 30 carries a game. Like, they're just not going to be workhorses, I don't think, at the P4 level, at least the high P4 level. So I don't like writing them off just on weight, but I mean, the fact is, it's just true. When you're caring about it for fantasy purposes, it's just true. So anyway, kind of in the same bucket there with Dierre Hill. And if you like what we're doing here on The Official, like and subscribe to this video so you get updated every time we release a new one. Lord willing, fingers crossed, it should be Monday, Wednesday, Friday, every single week. Occasionally we have a blip, but stay subscribed to the channel. You'll get these coming out really 3 times a week.